right, we are back. We're going to be talking Jesus, weed, and pro wrestling. This is the 10 count on that Art of the Beat of the V. Richard, Bronson, Vickrey, and Paz. We got the big question, brother. Are you ready for the party weekend that is ahead?
I am ready for WrestleMania 41. Should be a good one. I don't know. I'm intrigued. Should be a good one.
A big WrestleMania weekend coming up here. As I said, this big weekend, we've got the NHL, the NBA playoffs kicking off. We have got Easter Sunday, one of the biggest drug users, hips. There's hippie holidays in 420, and of course the extended weekend for WrestleMania. Hey, Pops, we're gonna get things going, man. What are your big party plans for this weekend?
I don't really have much going on. It's just me and my son will probably just be watching night one and night two, not doing too much. Going out earlier Sunday for Easter. We're going to be doing something with the family for Easter, but just a kind of a quiet, calm, cool, and collected WrestleMania at home. Watching it on Peacock. What about you?
Very nice. Well, mine is going to be all over the place. So I'm going to be enjoying it with the masses out there across the globe, podcasting right here. If you're catching the recording here at youtube.com/@Hameen Media Group. So you and the little guy there, he is kind of evolving into a big time pro wrestling fan. You guys have any rituals, things that you guys do together? Are you going to have any good eats, things like that? How does he get hyped? Does he got any favorite gear? I know he's a big geek man, so he's going to be looking forward to that one.
He is a big Jey Uso fan, so he'll be ready with the Jey Uso stuff. Nothing particular with the food. Maybe sometimes some chips and some popcorn. Nothing too crazy. But he will have the Yeet shirt. He's got the glasses. He's got the armbands too. The long Yeet armbands. He's got the whole thing. He'll get pretty psyched for it.
Well, it's going to be night one, so we're going to be hearing all about his reaction next week here on the 10 count. Yeah, but for me, it's all about the food that puts you in that good mood for whatever the event might be. I'm still planning out my Saturday #RBV Eats Out. I've got my fast food kind of checklist, how I want to do. I'm probably going to do some wings. I'm thinking maybe some White Castles, maybe some pizza in there. Of course, you maybe some nachos or something like that.
Wow.
Hell yeah, buddy. Wow. Then on Sunday, I already know what I got here. I'm going to be watching it kind of as I'm wrapping up a delayed Easter dinner. My mom does her famous ribs. Once a year, she does them on Easter. So I'm going to have ribs and fried chicken on Sunday for WrestleMania. And, of course, as I said, man, I'm going to be involved in a few watch-alongs. We've got special pregame shows, breakdowns from our pros and our Joes at the Hameen Media Group. So I hope to see everybody get involved. Looking forward to that. Paz, you had mentioned, some of the matches you're still looking forward there to the Yeet going for that heavyweight championship. You yourself, we've been kind of talking about the hype over the few weeks here. You've been much higher on this than I have. I haven't given up hope here. But let's talk. We know which matches are going on which night. We've got 7 on the first night, 6 announced for the second night. We're still waiting on an announcement, involving Randy Orton. How are you with just a few days to go? Any matches you're really excited for, some that you're down on? Let's buy or sell some of these WrestleMania matches, boss.
I would say really there's 4 matches in night one that I'm interested in. Gunther and Jey Uso. Maybe predictable, but I love Gunther. Every match he's in is amazing. The last match that they had at Saturday night's main event was great. So Gunther, Jey Uso. Obviously, my son's going to be really into it too with Jey Uso, but definitely into that match. Loving Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. Loving LA Knight versus my boy Jacob Fatu. And then Reigns versus Punk versus Rollins, the triple threat main event. I am interested in that. Night 2, I'm interested in AJ Styles, Logan Paul. Love me some AJ. The Braun Breaker Intercontinental title match. Cody Rhodes versus Cena for sure. And whoever Orton is wrestling. I'm just interested to see whoever Orton's got.
Well, it could be a major moment there for, as the rumor is now, we're going to get maybe an open challenge, so it could be a surprise return. I'm hoping more maybe we get a call-up for NXT to let somebody really shine on that big stage. The 2 that you had mentioned that are really jumping out to me, high stakes, and of course they've invested so much in it, is the big selling points. And we're going to talk about if that's a hit or a miss here in a moment. But the 2 main events, we got the triple threat, night 1. high investment, high interest for me. Night 2, Rhodes defending against Cena. Looking forward, the build to that I felt has been pretty lackluster with the involvement. It's going to have one of the biggest match feels in WrestleMania history, but it's the interest in the payoff. What is going to be that lasting moment that we leave this WrestleMania with? A lot of these other matches, I'm not necessarily down on, but not overly excited about. One that you had mentioned, Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. That match inside of itself, the gimmick of Americano has captured my attention. So I'm really looking forward to that. And Mysterio and Americano, we've only seen him for a couple weeks. It sounds like it seems like there is something special about this individual. I think him and Mysterio are going to go out there and put on one hell of a match. Maybe a sleeper. Night 1, I am really looking forward to, and I think they have done a fantastic job in this build. I'm interested to see how this match plays out, and especially where they go post WrestleMania, and that is Jade Cargill and Naomi. I want to give them a hat tip on the creative. They've done a great job, and these two ladies, especially Naomi, just going to the next level with it.
That could be very interesting. Yeah, the hype video package they put together for that was good too. Very good explanation of the whole feud. They always do a good job with those.
Well, I particularly like, especially with Naomi, they're not overexposing them with long, drawn-out in-ring segments. They're hitting us with some very nice vignettes and, personal interviews to really add some heat to this thing. I'm not expecting, a 10-plus minute, 5-star, whatever. Get out there, get it done, and pay it off. I'm looking forward to that one. We're talking about the hype. We're talking about what people are excited for. One of the headlines that's been all over the place on this road to WrestleMania is the lackluster ticket sales for this show. I want to get your thoughts here. We've got to discuss it if you want to touch base on this, maybe some thoughts of the pros, the cons of Vegas. But as of right now, and I'm getting this from multiple sources here, it looks like night 1 is just above that 50,000 mark. Night 2 approaching 55,000. Looks like online your lowest night 1 is $160, $160. Lowest night 2 is about 100 more than that. You can get in the door for $262. Your thoughts? I mean, this obviously with the increase in pricing, I'm still expecting WWE to be pounding that chest for record numbers at the gate. But per ass in the seat, this has to be pretty disappointing for them behind the scenes.
I don't know. I'm thinking what the angle is of people trying to kind of say that it's not doing well. So 51,000 plus for night 1, they want to get to 54. Or a little bit over 54. Night 2 is almost at 54. They want to get a little above it. So night 2 is almost sold out. Night 1 is 3,000. I mean, they're getting close. Obviously, we expect WrestleMania to be sold out, except for one little caveat: the price of the tickets are literally insane. Those prices you mentioned are for the worst seats in the house. Imagine paying that much for the worst seat in the house. I mean, that's just insane, just crazy. So if the story is true, the average ticket price is somewhere around $800. If that's true, I heard 500, I heard 800. So let's just say it's somewhere in that range. If you do the math, so they sold 105,000 tickets, between 105,000 between both nights, right? If we're doing the math, 54, 51, 105 times, let's say 800, that's an $80 million gate, which doubles last year's WrestleMania. So if that math is correct, and the math is correct, but if the actual average ticket price is correct, then that is just insane. That is just record-breaking, doubly record-breaking. So people could say, oh, man, it's not sold out. Yeah, but they're going to break records on the gate. Easily break records. They might double the record.
As I said, I'm expecting for WWE to be on that pedestal, riding that high horse at the end of the evening, talking about a record gate. Hey, they might have known this going in. They're going to struggle with the actual ass count, but when we get to that green, what's really important, what that means, it's going to be astronomical. Do you think there could be a trend of WWE trying to go to these big dollar markets like this, or is this going to have to just be every once in a while? We're going to have to return. Obviously, we know we're going to New Orleans next year, which is a great tourist destination because you have just a built-in base already there. It is a little more friendly for something like a WrestleMania.
I don't know. I kind of hope that it goes down. I mean, geez, I was watching that WrestleMania 9 doc, and Basil DeVito was saying that him and Vince always wanted to have a $25 ticket. Are we ever going to, ever in a million
It's
years,
crazy, isn't
do
it?
that again? Yeah, it's like, holy crap, $25 ticket. Jesus, I wish. So I don't know. They're nuts. TKO is nuts with the ticket prices. But man, if they're going to do $80 million gate in 2 days, geez, if that number's accurate, I mean, Jesus, I mean, that's just insane. So they're on to something, but the everyday fan, I mean, it's hard to go to these shows. Jeez, it's
I
too
was going to say
much.
$25. That's not even getting you into a matinee house show nowadays, Bob. So those days are. That is one of the things from that documentary. A little shout out to it. Just couldn't fit it into this week's show with everything WrestleMania. Bob, and I do want to go back and talk about it. A magnificent feature on WrestleMania 9. But crazy to think that was the plan way back then.
Yeah.
But we were talking about that first night main event. It has fans divided. They're talking about who they want to see go over, what could potentially happen. We might have had a heel turn before the bell rings, before the entrances even happen. The OTC Roman Reigns catching some mega heat in the news this afternoon. He was asked about it. Roman was doing an interview and asked about who he voted for. And the tribal chief had to say, I support our president. Trump is one of those guys where he's got a vast history and a huge background. He's been in entertainment. He's been in big business, politics. At this point, I'm supporting a bright future for our country, positive, competent leadership. For us to be where we're supposed to be a world leader and carry that respect and do what a world power like us should be doing. Rhines makes clear that he doesn't support everything that the president does, I guess there. It's like he needs an adversary. He needs the opposite to bounce off of. He needs the competitive motivation. Fair, unfair, this fan reaction here to Roman Reigns.
The fan reaction, of course, predictably unfair and just really weird, to be honest. I got to be honest. What he said makes perfect sense. I mean, he didn't really say anything bad. He's pro-America. I mean, geez, Louise, we all should be. But yeah, but kind of predictable from some of these nuttier people online. Kind of the predictable.
But I think it really is the extremist in politics. Roman pretty much gave as clear and as cookie cutter answer as he could here. But it is one of those, it's if you're with us or you're completely against us. So a vote there means that you completely hate everything that side stands for. He obviously even said, I don't support everything. These were our options. I voted for what I believe was going to be the best for America. My thing here, one, for Roman, he should have just no-sold this entire thing. There's really no benefit for him in answering it in any direction. And also, whoever asked this, I don't know where he was asked this at, but why? What was this doing? I mean, this is just a simple, not even low-hanging fruit. This is just the cheapest possible heap that you can get from something.
Weird question. I do see like a lot of strange and weird questions at UFC too. I see a lot of strange and weird questions. I'm just kind of, I don't know, is that like the new thing to ask like about like politics, just weird questions?
Remember a time when we were growing up in America, like that was like a no-go? I mean, that was something, what your salary, your religion, and who you voted for was something very personal.
Yes. Strange question. Yes.
Big rounds on, big press rounds going on. Not unexpected for WrestleMania, but some more heat coming out of some of the interviews there. Triple H in a sit down, kind of taking a shot at the veterans with podcast. He's kind of saying, for all the criticisms or attention that they get on how they handle business these days, Triple H saying he finds it's funny that veterans or those that were, in the business now turn to podcasts and share stories from their days on the road, kind of pulling back their curtain, exposing their business, if you will. But yet they criticize today's youth, the talents for doing so today. He just kind of finds it kind of funny. Your thoughts on Triple H's take?
I do find that funny. He actually did make a good point. I was kind of like chuckling a little bit at some of the stuff that he said, but when he kind of makes a good point. So they go back, right? You know, some of the old podcasts. I mean, I do shows with some of the podcasters. We discuss this stuff, but they'll open the curtain. They'll tell you what happened here, what you know, this happened with this guy, this happened with this guy. But then they'll say like, oh, Ricochet, he's breaking kayfabe. What's he doing? Like, it is funny to think that it's like, well, you kind of were too. You're really, you know, unveiling some stuff. So I don't know. To me, it's kind of hit or miss, and it kind of reminds me of an old Vince McMahon. Shockingly said this that I forget who it was, but there was a heel wrestler and he was healing on a fan, but it was not at the show. He was keeping kayfabe. Vince took him aside and said, "No, go over and shake his hand, apologize, and go give that kid an autograph." Like, so Vince, this is old school Vince was even saying, like, not really necessary with the kayfabe stuff. So it's just funny that the vets will say, like, that stuff about kayfabe. Oh, you got to keep kayfabe and this and that, and don't post pictures. I could see to a certain extent, at a certain point, yes, but then they are revealing a lot of the stuff. I know it's past tense, so they're revealing stuff that already happened. The guys today are revealing stuff that is, you know, currently going on. So it's a little bit different.
Well, yeah, first, a reply there for you. I think it's one of the most magical things about professional wrestling is walking that fine line, those blurred lines. But I want to call Triple H out on this. You know, in his delivery, in his comments, he just came off as such a condescending prick. But I don't know why. I don't know why that surprises me. It just kind of seems the attitude of Triple H when it comes to something like this. But to me, and it's something that I hope that if you're in AEW, if you're in WWE, if you're working the indies, if you're listening to these legends, those, or, you know, the veterans, those that have been there and they are sharing their experiences, their stories via a podcast, this is a Masterclass 101 learning experience. It's what it should be for you. I don't see them as exposing anything or, you know, not protecting the business. What they're doing, they are retailing, they are letting us know the tricks of the trade and how it worked. And in those moments, you can hear about how great those days were. So what they're doing, they're just recounting, they're giving you a blueprint of what professional wrestling can be. And if you take from that, you learn from that, you respect that, we can duplicate that today. One of the things that always irritates me is when I hear kayfabe is dead. No, it just needs to be allowed to evolve. We need to learn how to manipulate social media to capture people in those moments where they can't tell what's real, what's being written, what is the actual individual, what is the character. That is the beauty of professional wrestling.
All right. You get a little fired up here with Triple H.
When I heard him there, man, he got me going. But hey, you know, he's on top of the world. I'm just sitting here with you, brother. You know,
I want to know what podcast he's listening to. That's what I want to know. That should have been the next question. Hey, who are you listening to? What old veterans are you listening to? That should have been the next question.
I'm sure he's listening to his the Click This, his old buddy. Kevin seems to have quite a few things going on, but I'm sure they're listening to everybody. They've got roles, they've got their ears out there to hear what everybody is saying. But hey, you know, you've got to be prepared. It's WWE versus the world, man, because apparently, Paz, they are underdogs. Did you hear Nick Khan in making the press rounds talking about how it's always been this way, that it's WWE. Well, not the W. We'll get rid of one of those. WWE against the world. I've got the comment here from the real Khan in pro wrestling. Khan, we're always the underdog at WWE. We always feel that people underestimate us, that we're looked down upon, and we like it that way. Bet against us, we prefer that, and allow us to show you what we can do. Goes on for a few other things, but those first few lines there, very powerful. And this set the internet into a frenzy, Paz. What were your thoughts when you heard Mr. Khan's statement calling WWE the underdog?
That's an old Vince line, too. I don't know why that. I guess maybe to motivate themselves, they say that they're the underdog. There's no way you have a 75-year advantage, right? Going back to Jess McMahon, Vince McMahon Sr., you're always the number one company, always in the best market, always just killing it. And whether it's pro wrestling, sports entertainment, they are always number one. No way could they be an underdog. We were just talking about at least a $40 million gate. $40 million gate for a company that's an underdog? No way.
Well,
I love Nick Khan, but no way.
I think there is a lot of truth to what he is saying here. Now, obviously, for those that are living inside the bubble, you look at this as an underdog. You look at WWE and just compare it to the professional wrestling world. This is a comparison, and you got it. You know this is true. This is WWE as an underdog when it comes, if we look at the grand picture of sports and entertainment. What have they been chasing? That they want to be seen as these great pioneers in production, in the entertainment world. That their athletes, their superstars are bigger than the biggest athletes in the world. That's what Khan is referring to here.
All right. I just thought, it was like, wow, underdog, WWE. Oh, my God. I would never put those two words ever in the same sentence, but okay.
It's a bigger picture here. Hey, but let's not forget either, during the 90s, the dynasty, Jordan would always come up with ways to say it was everyone against the Bulls, that they were the underdog. Hey, and that's how greats do it. You got to fuel yourself with something.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
Also, one of the hot topics coming out of these press rounds here, coming again here from Mr. Nick Khan. And I know this one, you particularly, you wanted to talk about this and maybe a certain talent, but we'll put them all together. Mr. Khan talked about the potential of WWE signing AEW talents. And I know one that jumped out to you was Mariah May, who have been making the rumors that her contract's coming up, and she might be WWE bound.
I feel like she would be kind of like a perfect WWE person.
Absolutely.
Because in AEW, yes, obviously promos are important, characters are important. WWE, it's like that times 10. They love when you can cut long promos. They love when you already have a character. They don't really necessarily have to develop it. They can develop a storyline around that character. She is perfect. She's almost like another Chelsea Green, although I think that Mariah May is even better in the ring, obviously, than Chelsea Green. But just, no offense, but the character, I feel like she would already can cut a promo, already knows what she's doing. Like, she'd be more of a perfect fit for WWE, I think.
Yeah, outside of that character and her mic skills, there's a lot more perfect about her. That's a perfect fit for WWE. But Khan also saying, talking about looking at talents outside of WWE, obviously AEW being the leader there, but other promotions around the world. So that they're going to look at everybody, but it has to be a good fit. They're not going to just be signing people to have them sit on the sideline, which I think was a big part of that statement, and a little bit of maybe a shot at AEW.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. It was like partially a shot at AEW, but also just a little wrinkle. Nick Khan's close personal friend and the leader of the board of directors there, the head guy, The Rock, was wearing a New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt on his Instagram the other day. So that could be a hint of something. Who knows? But that could be a hint.
Some big departures coming from the Far East as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point here on the 10 count. But we're not, Nick Khan, he might want to take shots at the other Khan, Tony Khan, but we're going to show him a little bit of praise, appreciation over at AEW. Big milestone for them this past week. They officially passed WCW Nitro in episodes. Again, Dynamite officially passes Nitro here. Pods, I'm going to put up a graphic here just to thank you from AEW, but you speak over it with your thoughts on the run so far for AEW.
Pretty shocking. And I know it's crazy and it's a different time, but it just felt like Nitro lasted so much longer. The time that Dynamite has been around, this is just absolutely flown by. But that is a huge accomplishment, obviously, and as far as beating Nitro. Crazy that AEW is, people were kind of talking about the demise, not even close. They got a bigger deal, so they'll be obviously on for well past where Nitro was, but huge accomplishment. Congrats to AEW. Kind of crazy that it passed Nitro, but my only caveat to that is, yes, it passed Nitro. Yes, it was beating NXT for a while, when it first started out and everything else. But if you combine the last basically 4 weeks of AEW, so you put a month of ratings, you don't even equal maybe the worst Nitro rating ever. So that's the other thing. It is great. It's a great accomplishment, but as far as actual like footprint, as far as actually, doing something, better than Nitro, the ratings would tell you. I know it's a different ball game. People are watching it other ways and different things, but if you look at the ratings wise, Nitro just obliterates Dynamite. It's not even close. Even the worst Nitros. I mean, I'm not even get started on the best Nitros. The worst Nitros killed basically a month of Dynamite. So just throwing that out there.
Well, I'm going to let Mr. Tony Khan rebuttal that himself here for you.
All right.
Yeah, there you go, Paz. How about that for a rebuttal there?
Wow, I stand corrected. Damn, he got me. But Nitro, forget about it. That changed the game, changed the business. You want to say AEW definitely changed the business because he took some guys from AEW like Punk and Cody, and off to the races, doing the best financially WWE's ever done. And I know Eric Bischoff said Punk has been one of the biggest financial successes of all time. So obviously. You got to give AEW the props, but I'm just saying Nitro, as far as changing the business, the NWO, the Monday Night Wars. I mean, they set it off. WCW set it off. Nitro set it off.
There we go. Well, we talk about changing the business in big moments of professional wrestling. Also, this week in the build to WrestleMania, WWE released their own top 50 matches, WrestleMania matches. I know you're also big on this one, Paz. You love those rankings and those great conversations. I've got the top 10 here that you had sent me. You can talk about any. I'll let you go to these first. Is there any that really stand out to you that surprised you that they're here on where they're placed? Or
I got to be honest, for the most part, a lot of the matches are pretty good and it's somewhat spot on. Rousey versus Becky versus Charlotte wouldn't make my top 50. Probably wouldn't even make my top 1,000 if there's been 1,000 match. Match was awful, and the finish is screwed up. So there's no way that would ever be on there, and it absolutely should never been a main event either. That match was awful. But I digress there. Number one, I wouldn't have as my number one. I think Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels was a great match. It would probably be, and I know this might sound crazy, I'd probably put that as 10 on my list if I was going through it. I have to actually think about it. But Bret versus Stone Cold, WrestleMania 13, definitely. Rock Hogan, definitely. Savage, Steamboat, definitely. Rock Austin, definitely. Roman Cody, I'd have to think about it. I love that match, but I got to think about where it would be in the annals of time. I think that's too high on this list, to be honest. Dudley's, Hardy's, Edge, no way. I wouldn't even put that anywhere close in my stratosphere. Good match, but it's just not in my top 10. No way. Andre Hogan, absolutely yes. Warrior Savage, absolutely yes. Hogan Warrior should be up there too.
I thought that should have moved in as well. And I was looking at really, I know you go into a lot more depth with these, but I was looking at the top 10, which ones I would move out. I would move out from last year, the Reigns and Cody match. I'd move that out. I would move out the ladies. I thought it was hanging there simply for the moment and what it meant for women's wrestling to have that opportunity. And to me, it's not really about the bell to bell. It is about the moment, the lasting impression, the build, everything that surrounds it there. I would move those two out, as you said, Hogan Warrior. I certainly would move that in. Number one surprised me there. I'd move that down quite a bit, move that number two up a spot there, but a fair list. But I did notice going through the 1 through 50, a lot of modern matches. Didn't really surprise me, though, as they're trying to appease and get the conversation going against those that are actually taking the time to read this, and that being the modern fans.
Yes, some of the matches you can't argue they're definitely on there. It's just the ranking of where they're putting them is a little askew. It's a little off. I wouldn't quite put some of those matches where they were. Even Bret Owen, I'd get that definitely in the top.
I think that's a great match inside of itself, but. It was a kind of an afterthought because it was just kind of a warm-up match there for Bret. That was one of those things would have been nice to see as a payoff for a championship in a true main event.
Great match, though.
Well, Paz, another great episode as we get set for WrestleMania weekend. As we do, closing out each and every episode of the 10 Count, you get your pro wrestling pop of the week. Hey, and this week, man, this one immediately, man, it just popped me. This popped the internet, and it comes from both of ours, good friend, the one, the only Pops himself, Mr. Ben Hameen, caught this on
Nope.
Raw, and it has been getting traction everywhere on the internet. This week at Raw, this financially ruined me.